Are you working with youth in a small church but find yourself struggling to create a dynamic program because of the fact that your church is small? Look no further. I'm going to tell you about a book that can help. Hi everyone, this is Audra with Pathfinder Strong, and today I want to tell you about a great new book that I am head over heels for. It's not a brand new book, but it's one that has just really captivated me, and it's something that I've enjoyed reading more than anything else lately. I am a youth leader in a small church, and this book is titled Thriving Youth Ministry for Smaller Churches, and it's about how to cultivate a dynamic youth ministry in a church that is small. Now, if you don't have a small church, don't just shut off this video because there's great stuff in here for everyone. But it's especially geared towards somebody who's working with youth in small church and how to overcome some of the obstacles you have because of the fact that your church is small and you might have limited resources and even limited kids. So I'm going to share with you 3 things from this book that I especially thought were just spot on. The first thing, in the very first chapter of this book, it talks about how teenagers are in this generation. And I'm going to read you just a little sentence. It says that it describes this teenager David and how his life is and how he has a phone and everything is accessible to him and he's constantly posting and he can see real-time news and his friends are constantly giving him feedback. So it's this very instant type lifestyle that this teenager David has. And at the end of this description of him, it says, David lives in a completely different world than most adults over 35 experienced as a teenager. He loves Jesus, but finds church boring compared to his life. Now, I know it's kind of bad to say church is boring, but let's be honest. Compared to what a teenager experiences nowadays with having the world in their hand and constantly interacting, they may find church boring. And this really hit me when I read that, because I thought, gee, I wonder what my youth think about our church service. And I think thinking along those lines can really help you, go down a path of what can we do to better serve the youth of our generation. I mean, they are with it. It is what it is, and we have to figure out how to serve all people. So that was thing 1 that really struck me out of this book. Thing 2 was a story. And this story was about a kid and the author of this book. And the author of the book used to be a Sunday school teacher. And he was telling about, he was teaching in a very small church. And he said it was always a fight to get people to come to class in the morning. And he said sometimes they'd have 10, sometimes they'd have 2, and they never knew. So it was really hard to plan curriculum because they never knew how many people they were going to have in their youth class on Sunday mornings at church. And I think that can probably be true of your Pathfinder ministry as well. If you have a small club, it's like, gosh, you never know if there's going to be 2 or there's going to be 12, and it's hard to plan activities and things according to that. And that's something I specifically struggle with at our church too, is just, attendance. You just never know who's going to show up. So anyway, the story is he was Sunday morning, he was at Sabbath school, or Sunday school, and he had this great lesson planned about King Solomon. And he was going to break them into groups, and they were going to do these activities. And we said, one kid showed up, and they were waiting, and he was like praying, dear Lord, please send more kids, because I've got this great lesson, and I can't do it with only one kid. Well, God didn't send any more kids that morning. And so it says that he was sitting there trying to figure out what to do, and he's like, man, do I put on a movie? Do I just cancel class and send him to go sit with his parents? And he thought, you know what? No. He says, I'm going to make something out of this. So he went and asked the parents, and him and the kid got in the car and went to the Burger King. Now, I know as Adventists, we don't go to Burger King on Sabbath morning, but anyway, bear with me here. They went to Burger King, and they ordered some food, and they sat down together, and the guy got one of those paper crowns you can get at Burger King and put it on this kid's head, and turned it into an object lesson about King Solomon, and it turned out to be this awesome, really bonding, connecting experience that they had at Burger King. And so the day ended, and they went on, and later that week, the guy got a call from the parents saying, thank you so much for taking special time to do that with my kid. They said that their kid came home told them all about what they learned about King Solomon, and has been talking about that class and that lesson for the entire week. And at the end of that story, this really hit me. It says, I realized a very powerful point. Don't count the kids, but make the kids count. And I think in small churches, that is the most important thing we can do. Don't count the kids that show up, but take who does and make them count. That's thing 2. The last really awesome thing that struck me in this book was about how you run your program. And it was talking about that in the Bible, when you were following Jesus, it was an experience. I mean, if you think about all the Bible stories about things that Jesus and his disciples got themselves into, and, feeding the thousands and walking on water, and, just this really exciting, fun stuff that they got to do. And they said that following Jesus should be fun, and that in our ministry for the youth, we should make it fun to follow Jesus. Now, of course, there's times that it should be serious, and, we should sit and have serious discussions and read and pray and so on. But that shouldn't be all of your ministry. It should be fun. I'm going to read you a quote. It says, small church youth ministry should be packed with puns, inside jokes, and gut-busting guffaws. And I think when you have a small group, you can really get those inside jokes and those deep connections and things with kids that you might not get otherwise. It goes on to say, a youth group that laughs together, loves together, and lives together stays together. A smile energizes a tired and tortured soul, so baptize your students in fun. And I would re-say that as baptize your Pathfinders in fun. Make sure you're doing something fun with your kids. So anyway, just to recap the things from this book, Thriving Youth Ministry in Smaller Churches. Thing number 1 is realize that we are serving a whole different kind of kid. And if you're over 35, you may not understand what their life as a teenager was, because it's very different to what yours was. Number 2, don't count the kids. Make the kids count. And number 3, baptize your Pathfinders in fun. I hope this helps you really create a dynamic youth ministry in your small church. Go get this book. It's like $5 on Amazon. In fact, I'm buying one for my entire staff, and we're going to read it together because it is packed with such good stuff. And anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you share. Please let me know if you read this and what you think. I would love to have a conversation with y'all about what you think, because there's so many little tidbits in here. So if you have a friend in youth ministry or somebody you know, share this video with them to help them get a little bit going in their favor. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.